In the summer of 1847, just outside Fredericksburg, Virginia, a plantation owner named Isaac Calloway woke to the sound of screaming. His wife, pale and shaking, claimed she'd seen a figure standing by their bedroom door, a barefoot black girl with wet hair and a rope burn around her neck. Calloway dismissed it as hysteria. After all, their slave logs were accurate. No one was missing. Until he counted again. Her name was Lydia, age 16, and she was gone. Not sold. Not escaped. No tracks. No witnesses. No blood. Just gone. Leaving behind a bucket of water on the dirt floor and a single handprint smeared across the barn door. A handprint made of thick ash. Lydia was the first, but she would not be the last. By winter, 7 female slaves vanished from the same region in Virginia. And the people who owned them, fathers, sheriffs, reverends, merchants, all swore the same thing. There was no runaway. There was no sound in the night. There was only a presence, and the faint smell of smoke and river water. The Richmond Sentinel printed one short article. Mysterious loss of colored girls. Possible traffickers near Rappahannock. It ran once, then disappeared from circulation. Witnesses said copies were burned behind the courthouse. The editor, Thomas Wren, later confided to his wife, "This is no trafficking. This is old. Older than this nation." 5 days later his office was shuttered. People whispered that the missing weren't stolen, they were taken back. As if something claimed them, not forward, but backward. Back to something unfinished. Back to something buried. Back to something older than slavery itself. In Spotsylvania stood St. Helena's Chapel, founded 1722. Records showed no baptisms, no weddings, no funerals for nearly a century. Yet the building was funded, maintained, and guarded at night. Locals called it the church that prayed downward. Not to heaven, but to whatever listened below. One surviving letter from a plantation widow. "When the singing begins, it is not English. They chant like mourning mothers. And the earth answers." The missing girls were last seen walking near that chapel. All of them. The Rappahannock River became their myth. Fishermen claimed at night they saw figures standing on the water, not sinking, not swimming. Just standing, staring toward the plantations. Always girls. Always silent. Always dripping. The witness statements were quietly archived, then sealed, marked. Cultural hysteria, ignore. But when one fisherman tried to drag his net, a human braid tangled in it, tied with colonial ribbon, older than the plantation itself. Some said the river remembers, and it returns what was never properly buried. Elite slave owners circulated letters among themselves. If asked, say runaway. No reward posters. No search parties. Do not acknowledge night sightings. Because the truth was too dangerous. Sometimes the girls returned. Changed wasn't the right word. Emptied was. Eyes that recognized no one. Skin cold as if pulled from winter water. Mud in their throats. Ash under their nails. And trying to speak, but only river water poured out. Calloway's diary, hidden in a wall discovered 1949, admitted. "The night Lydia came back, she stood at the foot of our bed. Her hair dripped. Her neck sagged. She pointed downward. Then the floorboards cracked like ice." The next morning Calloway ordered. The barn burned. The well sealed. The ground salted. But the nightmares spread through the town like infection. Something was beneath them. Something waiting. Local indigenous tribes spoke of the Gray Mothers, women drowned by colonists in 1609 for refusing to convert. Their curse. Any woman stolen, sold, abused on this land, belonged first to them. The colonists laughed. Until daughters vanished too. Those stories weren't filed under history. They were filed under superstition. Until 1847. An orphan school reported 4 student girls missing. A seminary recorded 3 female servants gone overnight. A traveling circus lost 2 dancers. Different towns. Different owners. Same description. Last seen walking as if guided. Eyes unfocused. Toward the river. Every time, the river. A young surveyor drew a grid of disappearances. The dots formed a perfect circle, diameter 11 miles. Inside the circle were only St. Helena's Chapel, the old execution marsh, and the river trench used to drown women for heresy. The same trench the girls returned wet from, even after centuries. Farm boys found bones surfacing after rain. Not one grave. Dozens. Buried vertically, standing up, faces turned east. All female. Jawbones cracked. As if they died screaming. 1851. A plantation daughter vanished the night before her arranged marriage. Witness statement. A woman with river weeds for hair stood at her window, beckoning. The bride was found a week later. Dress intact, skin pale, but her eyes replaced by wet stones. Her fiancé shot himself after whispering, "She kept trying to give me the stones back." Slavery was economy. Women were future labor, future profit, future children born into chains. But in this region, that future kept vanishing. Slave traders refused to buy Virginia women. Prices collapsed. Families went bankrupt. The silence cost millions. No one dared explain why. 2 doctors performed autopsies. Their report claimed, no lungs present, throat lined with silt, old rope scars, organs displaced as if weightless in water. They signed the paper, then quickly left town. One was later found drowned in a horse trough. The other was found dry, but his insides were full of river sand. Survivors mumbled something repeatedly. Not African dialect, not indigenous, not English. One scholar matched fragments to 1600s court transcripts spoken before execution. The phrase meant, "We rise for the stolen." Finally, the town struck back. Men surrounded St. Helena's chapel with torches. The chant stopped. The river went still. The silence was worse. They tore open the floorboards. Below, a cavern. Massive, wet walls etched with tallies. Thousands of marks, each the length of a finger. And in the center, a spiral path of shoes. All women's. All sizes. Some modern. Some centuries old. None decayed. Just waiting. The spiral led down into water. Black water, unmoving. Then it breathed. The surface expanded like lungs. Men ran, but could not scream. Witness letters say they heard voices in the water. All women. All ages. All saying the same name. Mother. The town called it a plague. They walled the land. Drafted new maps. Erased old ones. Declared the area uninhabitable, bad soil. Government records renamed it. Restricted federal cultural hazard. Case sealed. In 1923, a historian reopened the files. He disappeared. So did his assistant. Their last typed page. They were not lost. They were collected. The case was resealed indefinitely. Because the truth ruins a narrative. America could not speak a story where the dead refused to stay buried. Where women's voices drowned once began drowning others. Where history itself became the revenge. So they rewrote it, burned it, buried it, like they buried them. Standing up, facing east, still waiting. Today, developers surveying the region report. Nail scratches in stone. Shoes appearing overnight. Water dripping from dry ceilings. Female workers hearing voices calling their names. One female archaeologist left the site shaking and mute. The only word she wrote on her notebook. Mother. Some chapters of history aren't forgotten. They're unfinished. And the ones who were stolen never stopped walking home.